Shawn Baker nonsense, donate $2. Let me see.
Question I get all the time is a carnivore diet expensive? Well, that depends on who you ask and how you do it, quite honestly.
It is inherently expensive, obviously.
Many people actually report that they actually end up saving money by doing carnivore.
They don't. So, there are people who may have absolutely ridiculous eating habits where they're consistently eating in like 1,000-calorie surplus or something, and they're eating some more expensive processed foods. And then when they switch to carnivore, they end up eating in a caloric deficit, which by nature, if we're comparing like for like products, you'd end up saving money anyway. And like the food choices they were eating before, again, they might choose like some more expensive processed products, but like they end up getting the cheaper cuts of steak. So yeah, but I mean, again, if we're talking about like a sensible fucking comparison where we're comparing somebody on a calorically neutral diet and is eating mostly whole foods, you know, a mix of like, you know, average normie dumbass diet, meat, plants, you know, a mix of vegetables, grains, you know, beans, legumes, bit of meat, dairy. And then you compare that to equivalent amounts of the carnivore diet that this guy advocates, where it's just skeletal muscle tissue. And maybe you're using a little bit of butter for cooking, or maybe tallow for cooking or something like that. If the calories are matched, guaranteed the carnivore diet's going to be more expensive. Like, these are just more expensive food products.
Now, they often don't eat prime grade filet steak every day, but certainly if you don't mind eating things like ground beef, eggs, roast, things like that, and occasional steaks, other cuts of meat, pork, chicken, things like that, it can be quite economical. And given that you often save money on condiments,
well, I can guarantee you this, you sure as fuck ain't gonna save money on medical bills once you get diabetes or heart disease or cancer.
And extra things and supplements and so on and so forth.
Right, that's hilarious. Oh, if you're on a carnivore diet, you don't need supplements. Literally, every single carnivore diet influencer sells supplements. The big one they all sell without fail are electrolyte supplements, because this is a low carbohydrate diet that dehydrates you. So in order to avoid dehydration, they're all selling and consuming electrolyte supplements. If they don't, every one of these people talks about like brain fog, feeling dizzy, getting senses of vertigo, muscle spasms, and cramps. They can't sleep at night. They have irregular heart rhythms that are concerning. Even Paul Saladino has made a whole video about this, talking about how you need carbohydrates in your diet so that you get insulin signaling at the kidneys to be able to retain minerals and electrolytes. And on top of that, again, all these carnivore diet influencers are selling more supplements. So like there's vitamin and minerals, there's like beef liver extracts, like you fucking name it. So, if you're on a carnivore diet, you don't need supplements. Yet every single one of these people are on supplements and or they're selling supplements. Sure.
Most people actually save money, believe it or not. And that's what I've seen over the course of many years.
Yeah, cool story, dude. You're a fucking liar.
All right, guys, I've seen a lot of people make comments about, you should avoid a carnivore diet or maybe a high protein diet for concerns about damaging the kidneys, perhaps. And so let me just clarify.
There's no evidence that high protein diets damage your kidneys. And in fact, high protein diets seem to be protective for kidney health.
That sort of belief is based on some really outdated science. And this science goes back to the 1980s where they did studies on.
It's not based on outdated science. What was assumed is that people with kidney disease, if they eat high protein diets, they end up dying faster. So it was assumed protein must not be good for your kidneys, but that's with people with kidney disease. So they were assuming protein caused the kidney damage. It didn't. It just caused symptoms once kidney disease happened. The primary risk factor for kidney disease is hypertension and obesity. So people with hypertension and obesity would get kidney disease, and then they'd have to go on low protein diets. So it was wrongfully assumed low protein diets are good for kidney health when it's not. So again, you can look at long-term prospective cohorts. People who eat more protein seem to actually have lower rates of kidney disease.
On rats, and they showed that high protein diets did indeed, in fact, cause damage to rats' kidneys. That data does not really hold up in human populations. We see some associative data, epidemiologic data where there's these associations that are made, and we know that a damaged kidney will spill more protein into the urine, but it doesn't mean that protein is causative. In fact, some of the most recent data shows actually that diets that are low in processed refined carbohydrates and ultra processed foods, but yet are high in protein and often low carb, actually have been associated and seen to actually reverse damaged kidneys. So this steak here, which I got from Better.
I don't know about reversal of kidney damage, but they're not associated with kidney disease. He might be wrong about that little detail.
You want to know why you're tired, you're sick, you're inflamed, you're falling apart before even 50 years old?
Probably because you're eating like this guy.
Well, it's not aging. It's not your genetics. It's most likely your damn diet. Look, I spent many, many years as an orthopedic surgeon. I didn't see, mostly a bunch of athletes coming in with wrecked joints from working out too hard. I mostly saw sedentary people living on the couch, eating seed oils, sugary snacks all day long, and, spiking their insulin 6 to 8 times a day. So what did these folks all have in common? They had glycation destroying their collagen. They had systemic inflammation wrecking their organs, and they had insulin resistance turning every cell into literally a ticking time bomb. This is what ages you. This is what actually ends up wrecking you. All right, this isn't some slow age-rated decline. This is metabolic sabotage. And most physicians are too busy writing another prescription to actually call it what it is. Look, you switch over to an animal-based diet and you stop feeding that fire. I've seen people reverse autoimmune disease.
Cool story. I love hearing cool stories. Still no research whatsoever showing carnivore diets reverse autoimmune disease.
Neurologic diseases, depression, gut issues, joint issues, on and on and on. It's not just throw another pill at it. If you want proof, look, I see this stuff every single day. We co-founded Rivero with fixing the root cause in mind. We have doctors and a team that's dedicated to getting you healthy. It's something that I see every day. And
what a fucking dork.
You've been told there is no cure for your autoimmune condition. I've got news for you. That's a lie. You don't need another prescription. Most autoimmune patients are told to, quote unquote, manage it, not to heal. The standard healthcare system suppresses symptoms, never addresses why the immune system's attacking itself. Carnivore and other elimination diets are powerful tools for many, many people. I've personally seen reversal of things like...
If he's going to make claims like this, I would at the very least like to see him kind of present his own sort of case report where this patient gave me permission to show this data. She came in with X autoimmune condition. It was confirmed. It was a confirmed diagnosis based on the antibodies that we found in her serum. She ended up following this diet. These are the changes in her body weight or something. These are the changes in her diet, exercise program. We ended up doing the same test. We no longer found those antibodies in her system, or they were significantly reduced, and then she said her symptoms were relieved. He can't even do that. Why would I believe any of this fucking horseshit? Especially since most of the people who are complaining about autoimmune conditions, it's subjective sensations of pain and discomfort. So, my knees hurt, my joints hurt, something like that, or they have rashes, or they itch their skin where they don't even have a visible rash. If you tell them, I can heal your autoimmune condition if you follow this diet, well, now you've created a placebo effect where they might think it's working, and then because there's a psychosomatic aspect to all pain, they think it did anything, when no, just due to psychosomatism, they just convince themselves they're not in pain anymore.
Like multiple sclerosis, Crohn's disease, rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, and much more. Rivero.
Yeah, dude, especially with rheumatoid arthritis, that'd be very easy to fucking prove. Like, present some kind of fucking case report.
Is the clinic that's finally doing it right. Root cause.
Yeah, this guy just makes up bullshit.
All right.
Like again, this guy is in fact, well, or at least used to be a medical doctor. Like he knows better than this. Present a fucking case report. Like you'd think you'd want to do that. Like that would be pretty groundbreaking if you could prove like certain autoimmune conditions can be verifiably treated or cured.
Fiber, is it essential, or is it just sort of an overhyped, cheap industrial product that people are pushing us to eat for profit? Well, the reality is that
the people who eat more fiber have lower rates of obesity, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and lower blood pressure. And people who consume more fiber also have more regular bowel movements. So no, there isn't a grand conspiracy from the big fiber industry pushing fiber supplements to make money and lying about it. No, people who eat more fiber live longer and have less disease. So get fucked, dude.
the answer is likely it is conditionally beneficial, but certainly not essential to.
Again, randomized trials and long-term prospective cohorts completely debunk this notion. You're a fucking idiot.
Point that it may help to lower glucose spikes if you're eating a very starch-rich, sugar-rich diet. It might help to produce short-chain fatty acids in the gut. However, that can be accomplished several other ways, by consuming protein, by consuming fat.
That is not true. You don't produce butyrate from just consuming fat or protein.
Or being in a state of ketosis. So all those things contribute to the same sort of benefits that a fiber diet is. Remember, if you're
that is not true.
Not eating a lot of cold.
So again, show me the randomized trials. Show me how, show me the differences in rates of heart disease, diabetes, cancer, high blood pressure, and show me that these sorts of dietary interventions or dietary patterns are just as effective as high fiber diets. You can't, you're making this up.
Hydrates, and you're not developing those big glucose spikes, which fiber may be helpful in. And then more importantly, what we know is that there are a number of people, thousands and thousands of people, that when they remove fiber from their diet, they have dramatic improvements in things like inflammatory bowel disease, irritable bowel syndrome.
Literally no evidence to support his claim whatsoever. Just trust me, bro.
Gastroesophageal reflux disease, chronic constipation.
Right, and again, you see lower cases of these conditions with people on high fiber diets.
And a whole plethora of more. So the short answer is fiber is not essential, and it may be conditionally.
Yeah, that's right. It's not essential. It is not essential to be healthy. You can eat a shit diet. You can do whatever the fuck you want. It's not essential for you to breathe clean air. So, live next to a smokestack, smoke cigarettes all day. Clean air is not essential. You can smoke cigarettes all day. But some of us want to be healthy and live long.
Beneficial if you're eating a standard Western junk food diet, but clearly.
This guy's a fucking clown. What a fucking idiot. Thanks for that donation, Shawn Baker nonsense.